Hello, my friends. Welcome to Living the Liminal. I'm so excited to be here today. This is episode 80. Wow, I cannot believe I actually have done 80 episodes. How exciting. I never even think I actually thought it would go as well as it has. So I have another story to tell you. I was having a recent conversation with one of my children, and it was about like this journey of life and expanding and growing and what really is involved in becoming, whether you're becoming an adult or becoming a teenager, becoming a student, becoming whatever, just the journey of becoming. And I had this awareness as we were talking that there is this point during the transformation of becoming that you have to resolve in your heart that you are worthy of a great life, that the dreams you have, the desires you have, the longing you have, the wants you have, that they're all worthy to be alive, and that you are worthy to have those desires, dreams, longings, wants. And it really kind of stuck with me because I was sort of like, it was such an aha. And I think of an aha like a holy awakening. Like, oh my gosh, that literally just brought me into wholeness, like in an instant, because I was able to fully feel like how the past can dictate where you are in the present moment and can influence where you go in the future. And that there's so many options along that route, that of braving the edge of that journey of transformation, meaning it can go in a variety of ways. So one of the things that kind of struck me in my conversation with my child was there is a generational pattern. No matter who you are, what your past entails, there is a generational pattern that is significance. It has significance for how you move forward, how you evolve, how you grow. And I think of the generational pattern as you bring it with you. Okay, so you bring it with you into everything that you do. So for me, as a mother and a wife, and even a coach, and even a podcaster, even a writer, I am bringing with me ways of thinking and believing and acting. And because those things are sort of given to me, right, by way of these generation after generation, they can come from our families, from, I even think they can come from like the school system. We spend so much time in our school system. It can come from your neighborhoods and the community you live in. It can come from a church or a religious organization. It can come from wherever your place of employment is. I mean, we spend a significant amount of time in these environments. And within these environments are a diversity of individuals who are all bringing with them, okay, their bags of tricks per se, right? They're bringing stuff with them. And that stuff influences in one of two ways. So it either influences in what I call the spirit of eldership, which is sort of like, let me share with you wisdom and insight and the things I have learned from my own experience, not because I want to keep you from your own journey, but by way of maybe helping you to experience or to know that you don't have to experience suffering. You don't have to stay there. It doesn't last forever. Like those wise words, like you just want those because they sort of feel like a blanket. They feel warm and friendly and comfortable, and they sort of help you they're very helpful, okay, those words of wisdom, in these moments when you are confused or in the unknown or the uncharted, or you're just not sure and you're questioning, okay? Or these generational patterns can come by way of what I call spirit of shielding. And I think of both of these as spirit because I don't believe there's any malicious intent by the person who is offering in this way. But the spirit of shielding comes by way of an unconsciousness, meaning it's influenced heavily by the unconscious pattern of how lower knowledge of fear and egoic thinking and doubt and worry, and it comes by way of like a warning or a threat or a disturbance of some side, and it often is unhelpful. It feels a little like kind of like it hurts. It doesn't help in the way, and often it's sort of like we get into this fight or flight of our emotional space, right? When we're getting this kind of shielding from another individual, and it blocks our growth because of the nature and the way it's delivered, meaning that it is arising from the lower knowledge of emotions and attachment and have tos and shouldas, and you better be careful of, and never know, and here's the way it works, and some of those like locked in sort of behaviors and thoughts and beliefs. And it's very interesting because if you think about it, the spirit of eldership is really embracing consciously the individual's journey. So it offers up kind of like, here, let me give you a gift along the way. Use it in any way you would like. Where the spirit of shielding is more like, oh my gosh, I need to protect you. I need to shield you. I need to take care of you. I need to stop this for you. I need to take this all on myself. Or we just need to pretend it's not existing here. And so it doesn't allow the journey. And we are each on a journey of our own understanding. And we are each here in purpose on that journey to evolve in the way that matches our soul existence, the way our soul wishes and desires to adventure through this lifetime. And this journey we're all on is a beautiful, beautiful liminal space of what was and what is becoming. And if we can, as like leaders or teachers or parents or just knowing this at any age, whoever you are listening, I kind of believe that if we know this, that the journey of existence, okay, for any individual's life is really honestly this beautiful liminal space from what was to what is becoming. It sort of then allows us to kind of just sit back and watch and observe and witness, and again, offer the spirit of eldership when needed. And it's kind of like, to me, making a fire. Like when you're making a fire, the first thing you do is you gather the logs, and then you have to have some kind of like fuel or fluid to kind of, work with the logs. And then you have some kind of source or match that ignites the fire and utilizes all of that. And then, along the way, sometimes it's like the fire might go out, or it might kind of dim a little, and you got to kind of do something. You got to stoke the fire. It's because all of our journeys need nurturing of some sort, where we need that spirit of eldership from the people in our lives. We need to feel this offering and these gifts being given to us of wisdom and insight. And I kind of like to think of this beautiful liminal space for each of us as the buoyancy of becoming, meaning that, it's not linear. It's not a straight line. It's not, let me walk from this place to that place. I mean, it's a journey. So it's weaving in and out. And I think of it like buoyancy because to me, it's sort of like, we're above and then we're below, and then we're above and we're below, and we're just kind of bobbing up and down, and kind of like a wave in an ocean where we're just coming in and going back out and coming in and going back out. And that movement, that fluid movement, really allows for the evolution, because honestly, we don't evolve by chance. I mean, I suppose there's some people who do evolve by chance, but that's really kind of risky, and that's really very unconsciously just sort of sitting back and not taking part in your life. And to me, that's just sort of like death. And to me, like, what's the fun of that? Like, what's the purpose of being here if you're not going to fully embrace and engage in this very rich and vital existence? So it's so easy for me to believe that there is a buoyancy, a sort of heartbeat about becoming and evolving and growing. And I kind of think of it almost like it feels a little bit like a conscious compassion. Like, I really am falling in love with this journey of evolving. I'm falling in love with the idea that what I was and who I am becoming, just by way of becoming more aware and opening my eyes. I mean, I really think that's an edge that if we got closer to understanding, then maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't need all the controversy and the projections and the pain and the suffering that people go through and the disturbances and stuff. So sometimes I think of the buoyancy of becoming as a little bit of like a translucent process, meaning you can kind of see, if you're aware, you kind of can see how knowing the dark brings into the light, and knowing the light will help you to see in the dark, and like the symbiotic exchange of this transformative power by way of your experiences and the adventures that you're taking on, meaning the relationships, the people that you're meeting, what's happening to you, what's not happening to you. And all of this requires nurturing what arises. And we have this biological system within our body that allows for an electric current, a nudge, by way of an emotion or a feeling, to kind of come through this beautiful form that we have in this human body. And it gives us the signals to know, to become more aware, so that in our own becoming, we are adapting and we're adjusting. And again, this is the beautiful buoyancy of the liminal space of becoming. So the other day I was having this conversation with another one of my children, and I kind of witnessed this process. So I'm explaining it, but here's how I witnessed it. So we're talking, and that my child was having some, challenge, like people do, right? So she, my daughter, having some challenge. And so we were sitting there talking. And as we're talking, I'm having sort of would be called maybe like an out of body experience, except it was definitely in my body. But I started to feel the emoting, the charge of the emoting. I felt something begin to surge in my body. Now, for me, it always starts with either my heart, or it starts in my throat, or it starts in my solar plexus, my gut region. Those are really my activating areas. And so I started to feel it, and I was like, oh. And because I'm more aware than I was, a while ago, I was able to allow my body to feel. See, this is how amazing and vital our bodies are. Like, they're just so wise and intelligent, because my body could feel that. And I could still be present to listen to what my daughter was talking about. So I allowed this emoting of this electric current to kind of start to work through me. And as it kind of started to work through me, all of a sudden I had an awareness of an experience that I experienced back in my high school days. And so I could tell that like the story was surfacing. Now, at this point, my awareness was definitely beginning to offer me this crossroads, these two options. Okay. I could definitely use the story and project back onto my daughter and influence her journey so that her journey really was a reflection of my journey, which negates her journey and it almost robs her of her experience. Or I could sit back and think from a higher knowledge, from a wiser knowledge, more intelligent knowledge that felt safe and seen, that I could use the story to be of influence, not telling her what to do, not shielding her, but embracing my own eldership in this space as a spirit to offer her a gift of a story. And if you remember back when you were younger, everyone loved a good story, right? You just kind of got all excited for the story, whether it was like Christmas time stories or the bedtime stories or stories your teachers used to read to you. Everyone loved the stories. So I began to share. I said, hey, can I share a story with you? This is kind of reminding me of something. And I was very clear that I'm going to tell you how I handled it and how I felt and why I think maybe I'm feeling something for you. It was a beautiful conversation between us. And it really allowed her to get behind her own emotion, and it allowed me to get beyond my own emotion. So for her, it empowered her to have a perception that was wider than the experience. And for me, it allowed me a new narrative to reframe my old experience so that it was offering me freedom. Because beyond the emotion, you have a choice of either freedom or prison. And if you choose to stay negating that emotion and not feeling and letting it work through you and flow through you, then your becoming is a prison sentence, where when you allow the emotion to just sort of flow currently through you, it can almost be electrifying to where you're actually shifting your consciousness around. Wow, this doesn't really hurt. This can actually be fuel for me going forward, for me moving into a future existence. And then what follows this sort of activation of this emotion then, right? Letting the electric surge work through you is like a wealth of compassion that can be then alchemized into a more centralized theme. And that's the eldership I offered her. Was, so back when I was a kid and this happened, here's what I thought, and I carried that with me. Now I'm seeing it different through your story and your challenges, and here's what I can offer you. It was like, I can't even describe to you the coolest moment for she and I. And I say she and I because I was freed and she was freed. Whenever you can sort of have that win-win, I mean, it's beautiful. So the thing is, we're always sort of seeking out this like magical answer, right? We're like living our life for the one way that's going to make everything work. We're living our life for the one big truth. Well, what if it's just live your life for truth? And what I mean by that is, instead of seeking one truth, what if you just sought truth? And truth will always be one of two options. There is good here, and acting for win-win on both parties. Because if I would have acted from a spirit of shielding, it would not have been a win-win. It would have been a win for me because I would have felt comfortable in the projection because it fueled it out of me and onto her. But she would not have felt good, and it would not have been a win for her. So the spirit of eldership allows the buoyancy of becoming for both parties to evolve together within their stories, within that symbiotic relationship between teacher and student, or light and dark. In Buddhism, there is a heart sutra. It's sort of like a guiding way of thinking or living life. And I love this one. It's form is no other than emptiness, and emptiness is no other than form. And okay, I know that sounds a little like backwards and like you're like confused. What is that? But it's sort of about there is no end. There is no beginning. It's just a matter of paying attention to the ebb and the flow between what comes up, what wants to come out, between wisdom, between non-wisdom, or maybe lower intelligence, between what frees us, what keeps us in prison. And it's kind of like everything fits together. There isn't anything that doesn't fit. So if you're wondering, I don't know why that happened, I don't know why this happened, I don't know why this is always happening, it all fits together because we're all part of one story. So everything that's happening for all of us is happening for all of us for a purpose bigger than what we maybe even understand. But everything that happens to you fits together for your life. There is a common thread that sort of just kind of weaves in and out like the ocean waves. They come in, they come out, they come in, they come out. So if you think about that, then what's required is a change in your state of awareness. So often, we want, and again, this is a lot of our conditioning. I mean, I come from a teaching background, so I taught kids. There's one answer here. There's one way. We have to get to mastery. Well, what if there is no mastery? What if it's just about adjusting and adapting your awareness all the time without judgment? And what I mean by that is there's basically two minds being interfaced here. There's this ego mind, which is sort of like what I've been calling ignorance, okay? And not that you are ignorant by any means, but it is your mind that is ignorant because it is being held captive by thoughts and beliefs without any form of curiosity to whether they are truth or not. And then there's this other aspect of the mind that's more like a source mind. It is based on higher knowledge. It is based on a wiser, more intelligent knowledge. The ego mind or the state of ignorance is basically limited because it only includes the awareness for as much as the five senses can take hold. So your eyes can only see so far. Your mouth can only speak so much. Your ears can only hear so much. So you are limited in that way. It also is, it's sort of, the ego mind has a nature about it, an essence that is about getting away from, escaping or clinging, suffocating, because it bypasses anything so that it keeps security in place. It's an illusion of security. And often the ego mind in this form of ignorance is all about defending and protecting. And so the flip side of that then is this source mind, where the source mind is really built on purpose and a much bigger why. It's grounded in a why, and it's fluid, meaning it's adaptable, it's adjustable, it's not stagnant, it's very movable, and there's a freedom within the unknown because that's where strength lies and courage. and vulnerability. That's the freedom. And creativity lies there because it's open-ended and it's ongoing. And in the source mind, it works by way of observing and discerning and getting more curious, asking questions, wondering, wow, that's so interesting. And many of us who have had some generational trauma, like here's an example, feeling the rejection. Okay, so here's this emotion, feeling rejection. And the ego mind, okay, would lock you into, what do you mean you don't want to join us? What do you mean you're not going to do this way? What do you mean that you don't like this anymore? What do you mean you don't think this way? This is the way it is. This is what this is. This is who we are. Okay. And the rejection from the source mind kind of takes place to push beyond that particular need for protection, need to keep things in place. And the source mind pushes further and allows for clarity. It allows for a more conscious choice of feeling good. And so the ego mind maybe will present more of shame, guilt, threats, disruptions within the discomfort, where the source mind is more open, more freeing, more joyful, more pleasant, and it allows. Carl Jung, in some of his research, wrote, without the emotion, there is no transformation. And what if, like those emotions that scare you the most, like let's just use fear. Fear is a big one, right? What if the emotion that scares you the most, fear, guilt, worry, rage, what if it was a muse? What if it really, because you got close to it, could really inspire you for a shift, for a reframe, for a rebuild, for a reconstruction? What if it was really a simple process of this triggered event? So the triggered event, oh my gosh, I feel fear in this moment. Okay, you'd become invited into a mini journey. And then here you are with this feeling starting to erupt, and you then willingly look deeply into the shadow, into the dark of that emotion. What does it mean? What is it saying about me? Where does it fit in my lifetime of journeying? And you gain an insight. So you go from invitation to an insight. And then as the emotion continues to rise, it allows you, it offers you the gift of becoming. And what I mean by this is it integrates you back into wholeness. So hiding from an emotion does not inspire you to become whole and to continue in your wholeness, which you already are. Bypassing emotions keeps you imprisoned in a lower frequency, a lower knowledge. It keeps you locked in generational patterns that are not even yours. And when you can invite the invitation in, welcome in the insight, and integrate in your own becoming, that's living life consciously. That really is a conscious lifestyle. And so often the wounds of our past keep us sort of entangled in these knots, right? Not good enough, not seen, not belonging, not whole. And that creates the suffering. And when we are in that sort of disruption of suffering, okay, we almost become frozen in the mirror of our own shadow, and we are not looking deeply enough for and allowing the energetic current to move through our bodies, we're frozen in looking in that mirror. So just imagine yourself for a moment holding a mirror in front of you and you're just sort of frozen. That's often what's happening when we're locked in suffering. We're not meant to be locked in suffering. We're meant to evolve and move and be fluid and flexible. And by becoming consciously aware of what's happening in your body and letting your body be the wise soul it is, the buoyancy of becoming allows for the transformation. Now, of course, this requires raw honesty and truth and owning this darker part of our desires, right? Owning the fact that we feel emotions that may be perceived as negative or toxic or hurtful. No one wants to be perceived as, I have rage in my body. I have rage about that experience. But what if we just talked about it? What if we just said, I have rage in my body? Oh, I was feeling rage today. But because you didn't do anything about it, it really holds no weight, no power. It's only when we start to shield it. See, again, you go into the spirit of shielding, that we go into that need for the ego mind to protect and defend, that then that particular emotion becomes more powerful and scarier. And we want to run away from it. So quite possibly, what you think you really do get. And so you always have a choice. And the choice is, in this moment, I'm starting to pay attention and I'm starting to be aware. Wow, okay, I'm emoting something here. I'm feeling something here. I think it has to do with this. I'm wondering if it's about this. And you don't project it consciously, which again, you are then awakening the unconscious part of your mind to this generational pattern, and you are stepping outside of the pattern. You're reframing the pattern. You're fueling it and you're shifting it to a different way of organizing and a different way of acting and living within that emotion. You own your past narrative. You shift it from ignorance to a higher wisdom, and you act in the light of awareness. This is what it really means to be free. It's the freedom that we are all seeking, to feel that we are fully alive in any moment and that we have the freedom to choose. And I mean, you totally do have the freedom to choose. Nobody is making you choose the pattern that you've been choosing all along. You get to choose a new way. And a long time ago, I had this mentor who said to me, Christy, what's good for you will be good for everyone else. And at the time I kind of was like, really, are you serious? But the truth is, that is the truth. That is the truth. When you are operating from an aligned, aware place, and you are awakened to your own awareness of the buoyancy of becoming, and you are allowing in the dark and the light, and you are paying attention to what's unconscious, what's conscious. Oh my gosh, wait, I didn't even realize that. Okay, now it's conscious. And you're just kind of sitting in that observer source mind more often than the ego. Now the ego is always going to be there a little bit. We don't want to push it away, and we don't want to let go of it. It has good potential. But paying attention to how it's all working together, it really does allow you to sort of like be guided by something outside of yourself. And to me, it braves the edge, and it brings the world so much bigger. It's more expansive, it's more abundance, it's more prosperous, it's wealthy. I don't feel so anchored and bogged down into smallness or limitation. And there's definitely a different feeling there. So this week, I just kind of want you to take a look at your choices. And, maybe it's already a choice you've already made. Maybe it's one you have coming up. Maybe it's a whole bunch of little choices you're paying attention to. And I want you to see if you can notice the pattern of buoyancy, meaning from ignorance to higher wisdom, from ignorance to higher wisdom. Just notice it. And in your noticing, Okay. Can you affirm, oh, wait a minute, this feels better. Okay, that's joy and peace. I now know what joy and peace are. Oh, wow, this is really cool. And then just notice what doesn't feel good and honor that part as well. Wow, I'm just kind of in a little bit of sadness today. Wow, I'm just in a little bit of dissatisfaction. Okay, I'm just going to allow myself to do it. And you're going to nurture yourself more that day than maybe the day before when you felt the peace and the joy. And you're going to allow all of it, because a conscious lifestyle is not, oh, you can only act in this way and not this way. It is allowing the light and the dark and the dark and the light. It's allowing the unconscious and the conscious to beautifully dance within the framework of your existence. And because that's the real great mystery. There are no answers. There is no one way. There is no mastery. It's just about the buoyancy of becoming. Okay, that's all I got today. So I just want you to, this week, get closer to those things that scare you, brave the edge. You are seriously a beautiful soul. I love you. Peace out, my friends.